What's up, nerd and nerdettes? It's time for a superpower shorty. This superpower is a splinter off the branch of vibration manipulation. So sit down and get set for shockwave manipulation. With the ability to make things shake, turn around and then make them quake while causing and creating earthquakes that aren't second rate, users of this large scale and impact based ability can create, shape, move, control, interact with, and manipulate shockwaves, a powerful compression wave produced by the movement through a medium, liquid, matter, energy, etc., at a velocity greater than the local speed of sound. Shockwaves themselves, though, typically originate from explosions, large-scale impacts, and sonic booms. But for a user of this power, they'll be able to generate their own shockwaves under their own power, or, through other sources. I don't know, like magical or technological stuff. But in terms of offensive capabilities, users will be able to increase the power of a regular attack from, producing a minuscule vibration all the way to titanic tremors capable of tearing down buildings and cracking continents. But for those of you who like to keep it simple, like me, because I'm kind of stupid, they can add mad extra force to punches and kicks. So it makes sense that shockwaves can extend the range and power of such melee attacks very well. And speaking in terms of defensive capabilities, users can use shockwaves to defend from oncoming physical attacks by either deflecting them or outright destroying them. It just depends on what you want to do. So, it goes without saying that this ability is incredibly powerful and kind of has a lot of uses if you want to be a straightforward kind of person. But none more so than just, making a normal attack way more powerful. And this goes for any kind of attack. If you shoot a fire blast, then the power added to this would make it more like an explosive bomb or something like that. But if you add this ability to let's just say a liquid element, then you're going to be creating waves or typhoons that can shatter stone and destroy entire countries, something like that. Let's see here. If you add it to like a solid element, you'll end up pulverizing it, creating dust or gravel out of rocks. And if you add it to something like energy or maybe electricity, then you'll just make that effect way more powerful. It won't really add any additional properties. So because of that, this power is normally shown in popular culture as a slam effect or some kind of shockwave clap, with the goal being able to generate a large-scale vibration or vibrations to create distance between you and the opponent, or to attack from a distance. And as such, the attack is most likely seen as a colored wave that spreads across the surface of a solid, or you'll see the object ripple all over like somebody flipping a sheet or something like that. In the air, however, you'll see a sonic boom-like effect accompanied by a great burst of speed and or an invisible concussive force directed towards you, but causing damage to the surrounding environment. The only downside to all that physical power is kind of like how I hinted at just now, is fine-tuned control. That's just something you won't have with this ability. Because in most cases, fellow oscillating elements, back and forth movement, or attacks that have back and forth movement, usually start as a pinpointed attack and then spread outward from there. So on average, you're going to be causing mayhem of a sort with this ability. There are examples that exist that kind of don't, but we ain't talking about those, so don't worry about that. Now, this ability can and does get confused with pulse manipulation. Now, in all reality, or at least to me, in execution, there's no real difference between a shockwave and a pulse. They're both classified as vibration, and vibrations are classified as waves. If you want more information on that, check out my video on vibration manipulation. The people seem to like that one. The link is in the description. But anyway, both include the movement of disturbed matter. Shockwaves are just large scale and more visually destructive version of pulses, if you want to get technical for the nerdy nerds out there. But they can and usually do accomplish the same thing. It just depends on what you want to use it for. For example, if you wanted to use a shockwave to hit that like and subscribe button, then I'm pretty sure nobody would blame you for that. I wouldn't. Now, granted, it might be a little overkill, but hey, who am I to argue with a potential subscriber? So do the Shay a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. And while you're at it, hit that share button as well, because if you did use a shockwave to begin with, the impact would more than likely affect it anyway, because, the propagation of matter and all that stuff. Now, with the power to manipulate shockwaves comes the natural ability to create and emit the #1 cause behind the origins of all shockwaves, with vibration generation and vibration emission. We can just slap those two together to make it easier. But anyway, and since we already know the effects of oscillating matter, back and forth movement, which does create energy and movement, all that energy and movement can and will deliver an impact that can cause a physical change in matter, like breaking or shattering something, via a concussive force. And continuing from there, if the concussive force is powerful enough, it can just simply cause objects to blow up with explosion inducement. Well, what if you want to get a bit more intimate with how you use your shockwave-based powers? Well, that should be fairly simple. Just add a little bit more focus and concentration, or condense it into a centralized point via focused shock blast. If that ability is used on someone or something that has a form of structural integrity, then say a prayer, or tell them to say a prayer, because inertia will not be their friend, as you can cause the target severe damage from the inside via internal rupturing. And if this unlucky object or being's insides gives way under the pressure of said shockwaves, then the sudden vacuum effect caused by the sudden change in matter can cause the object to collapse in on itself with implosion inducement. From there, the user can generate their own source of shockwaves completely separate from outside sources, which we kind of do already, with shockwave generation. Now, this ability can be done in numerous ways, so let's go ahead and list them all out, because I don't have anything else to do. If a user of this power slams whatever counts for an appendage on a flat surface, they'll create a shockwave clap. If the user performs a light, sharp, but quick retracted blow, then they'll create a shockwave flick. But in the inverse, if the user performs a sudden, sharp, but hard cracking sound or movement, then they'll be creating a shockwave snap. And lastly, if the user treads heavily and noisily while making contact with the ground, then odds are that they're using a shockwave stomp. This is usually used to show anger or, I guess, power. And those are more or less the applications for this power. So now we can get into the ways this power can be used and how it's usually shown. The #2 way that this ability can be shown is through the vocals, or whatever instrument is being used to create noise. So let's go ahead and add sound wave generation, as massive sounds can create pressure, and that pressure can move the surrounding air, and that air moving creates shockwaves. You can even use that to communicate with others over long distances via linear converse emission. That's a weird one, but anyway. But if said sound wave is fast and powerful enough to break the sound barrier, then you, my nerd and nerdette, have a user of sonic boom generation. Just think about jets or missiles, or rocket ships. If the user's caught in a storm or is the cause of said storm, then all they gotta do is pay attention to the flash of lightning, because thunder will soon follow. So just manipulate that via thunder manipulation. Remember, there's no actual electricity in actual thunder. It's just noise. But since these are superpowers, it wouldn't be too outrageous to add a static-like effect, or some kind of paralytic electricity effect or something like that. Just look at Pokemon games. And there you have it. Shockwave manipulation in a nutshell. Not a very useful ability unless you plan on just being a demolition person or something like that. Now, is this all the applications and associations? Of course not. These are just power-specific applications. If you want more uses and/or uses, then you want to check out its parent powers, vibration and/or sound manipulation, because shockwaves are just really big vibrations. So other than that, distance, mass, precision, and the user's own knowledge and skills will determine how far one goes with this ability. Also, too, user must be very careful around materials with reflective properties, such as mirrors or certain type of liquids, or they risk the effect being lessened and negated altogether. So, have fun, remember to keep track of the destruction, and I'll see you guys in the next one Remember to hit that like and subscribe button, and thanks for your support. Shay out.